This episode of the Home Pros Radio Show podcast is brought to you by HomeBinder, the premier home management app. Receive home maintenance reminders, organize your home's inventory, manage your home improvement projects, and more. Stay tuned to get a free upgrade code for HomeBinder worth over $200.
The Home Pros Radio Show.
I'm Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections, and this is the Home Pros Radio Show podcast. In our last episode, Adam Burgess with Paranormal Investigation Team Greenville introduced us to a home that potentially contained paranormal activity. He invited my co-host Shane Hips and I to return to the house with him to investigate further. Are these expeditions and the science used to carry them out for real? Or are they a figment of our own imagination? We thought it would be fun to share the process and let you decide.
We've got a special Halloween version of the Home Pros Radio Show. This is the episode where we like to bring in our ghost hunter extraordinaire, Adam Burgess, with Paranormal Investigation Team Greenville. There is a house that you guys are checking out. You were kind enough to let us go along.
That's right.
Tell us about this house. Well, how did you get involved in it?
I know the owner of the home, and this summer they wanted to clean it out, and he just wanted me to walk through it and see the stuff that was in it because the gentleman died in the home and was the last homeowner. So I walked through. I'm big into music. This guy was a musician, and walking through the house to just see all the equipment, see everything that was there, and it was junky. He had a in-home recording studio. Walked into the studio, standing there taking some pictures, walked back out, standing in the doorway of the studio, not moving, looking at my phone, and the door to the studio just closed pretty hard, hit me. I pushed it open. It was wedged between the ceiling and the floor. I jumped up and down, ran back and forth, moved around.
Trying to repeat what you experienced?
Trying to debunk that as something, floor joist out of whack, whatever. Couldn't make it happen again.
Yeah.
So I got a little creeped out and said, what's going on here? Talked to my buddy, did a little research, and decided to talk to you guys and see if you want to come with me to check it out.
Cool.
Yeah, and there were marks on the floor and ceiling. I mean, it definitely.
You can see where it has scraped on the floor.
Closed, there had to be something going on there.
One of the things that we like to share when it comes to this is your main focus when you go out to do these types of things is to find every reason to debunk what it is. In most cases, I mean, you even interview people pretty intensely before you actually go out and surveil a house, right?
Yeah, most of the time we don't even make it to the house because people just want to talk to you and know that they're not crazy. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times we'll go through that survey process, talking with them, email or phone calls, and then if we think that, hey, there might be something that we need to go help them figure out, whether or not there's something going on with their house that needs a repair or something that could be explained. That's our goal, and then if not, then we also have the aspect of being able to go in and see if there's more there.
I would say probably the first step in actually checking out a home would be researching. Research. Before you even step foot on the property, what's the deal with
just trying to get a little information about it,
who lived there.
Who lived there. In this situation, we knew we had a homeowner that had died there, so that was kind of the thought process when I took you guys in there. And I talked with the owner a good bit, and he had talked to people that were familiar with the home. There's not a lot of families still around, so that part was hard. And the research online that we've been able to find is very, very limited. Mostly just obituaries.
Okay.
So when we walk in, first thing we do is walk through the house and get to know it. Just to hear the sounds of the house.
We got there the day of the I guess you could say inspection.
Yeah.
And Shane and Adam had already gone through the house. And this house is pretty run down. I mean, the bathroom floor is falling in, windows are cracked and everything. And they're like, go ahead, Tommy, you go first. I'm like, are you serious? You got to be crazy. You know that you've told me what might be inside. And they're like, go on ahead. There's no power.
Go in that dark room.
It's not
right
like
there.
you can turn on any lights or anything.
Well, and this house has been empty since 2015, and it's been, I think, Shane, you were looking at it and said you could tell at least 3 additions that had been added to it. There's no straight line through the house. There's no main hallway. You have to literally weave in and out of rooms and through bathrooms and open doors that don't want to open at the same time.
I made a video when we were there of what it was like to walk through the house. I need to post that because it's like the Blair Witch Project. It's like you have no idea which way's up, where you're going.
It's amazing.
You have to go through rooms to get to other rooms. And here we are, ghost hunting.
Yeah, and I showed up in flip-flops.
Yeah. Shane's in flip-flops.
I guess I didn't really envision what a house that's been vacant for a few years was going to look like. I didn't think of the stuff on the floors.
Yeah, but you wouldn't walk through one of your own jobs in flip-flops.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I don't know what I was thinking, but
Shane,
apparently,
there's
I am
only
so
one.
dumb.
There's only one explanation.
You're so dumb. You're really dumb. For real.
Well, for you future ghost hunters, do not go in flip-flops.
No,
Go
one
ahead and wear
of the
something
first
different.
rules is wear something with a pretty hard sole and closed toes.
Absolutely. So now, once we're on the property, Adam has a list of notes, just a printout and some notes of the background of who it was that lived there. So the next step was to go through and walk through, and it was definitely not a comfortable place.
I got scared. I dropped my hot pocket.
And that's right. Make you drop your hot pocket.
Good thing we didn't have no hot pocket.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have ate it off of that floor after I dropped it.
Oh, gosh. Now, that's scary. So, and then what do? We have an idea of the layout of the house. We know our escape routes. Then we get out our EMF reader, right?
Yep. Then normally what we would do is, if it's a house, we knew this house had no power running in it. We still would do an initial sweep with those just to make sure there's no power or electronic fields anywhere.
Electromagnetic fields?
Yeah, coming from the walls or any of the sockets, any of that type of stuff. Just so we know where the hot spots are. We also make sure our phones are off or on airplane mode because that ping signal will set those off. So we did that, and immediately we're not near a wall or anything, and Shane and I hit a little pocket right
lights
in
start blinking.
the foyer at the base of the stairs.
Was it a hot pocket?
It was.
It
was a hot pocket.
The microwave would not work.
Yeah, so the EMF reader is kind of giving us a reading of a certain amount of electromagnetic fields. We know it's not our cell phones or watches or anything because we have all Bluetooth and wireless turned off. So it's telling us something. And there's no power in the house.
There's no power.
What would be causing this? Which led us to the next step, which is to break out recording equipment. And we're recording, and we start talking to what might be a ghost. So we're going to give you a little bit of a feeling of what it's like to go on an expedition like this. If you watch one of those ghost hunter shows, what they're actually doing, a little explanation. We do our walkthrough. It's a very segmented house, hard to get through. It's dark, no power. We get the EMF readers out. We get a reading. It starts to ping. I get my recording equipment going, so we start asking questions. We're going to share that adventure with you right now.
I'm going to ask some questions. Come close to us. Continue to make the K2 light up.
The K2 being
you can
the
answer
EMF
through
reader.
the K2 by making that light up, but it's been pretty consistent, so I think you're just here if there is anyone here.
I hate listening to myself.
And we're recording you. We would like to hear your voice.
We're recording ourselves, too. That's
Giles,
the worst part about it.
if you're here, if this is you,
Giles, of course, was the owner.
can you come
for the-
say something to us? Come close to us. That was not a noise outside.
So let's
Yeah.
elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, we were just sitting there listening, and obviously the windows were open, and we could hear a lot of traffic outside, so we tried to note that. But at that moment, some little knocking or something you can barely hear there, but definitely was attention-getting.
Yeah. One thing that was a little bit different is the recording equipment that I have showed the wavelength of anything that
That's
it
right.
picked up. So there were a couple times when we didn't hear anything, but then there was a visual reading, kind of like we saw there. This is the part of the game where you start asking questions, see if you can get a response. We're getting a visual reading on the EMF reader. The lights go green, yellow, then red as that wavelength picks up.
Yeah, and it goes from if you get milligauss readings of 1.5 or 2, that's normally what some minor electricity will provide for you. If you get really close, like a fan, for instance, I have one in my classroom. It goes up to 7.5 if I turn that on. These were over 20. And then
Which was
even
unusual.
at 50 at some point. So, yeah, we were really, really high. That if you and I were to sit somewhere and we felt that off of electrical conduits or whatnot, we would definitely get the heebie-jeebies from it.
Yeah. So let's take a listen and see where we are here.
That was not a noise outside.
This is when I start to freak out.
Tommy's eyes got pretty large.
Here, why don't you just yell into this microphone that Tommy's got in his hand as loud as you can?
I don't know how comfortable you were with being told that they want to talk directly to you.
Yeah.
And at this point, we're trying to see if it's something that is
Do you want to sing us a
active
song?
or just energy in the room.
Yeah.
Do you not like the platters?
We're not talking about food.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Maybe the guy put the wrong thing on that Facebook post or that article.
All right, so at this time, Giles was a musician throughout the time, and he actually was a background musician for the Platters for a little while, and so that's the reference there.
That's the advantage of doing that research, finding out. Mm-hmm.
And so we started asking questions about music and about the Platters, and the activity stopped, which was interesting.
Yeah. So that was our way of seeing, there's some sort of response. This is where people talk about like communicating or at least getting some sort of reading or response is, okay, how is the environment reacting to the things that we're trying to do to stimulate it? In this case, we obviously did something to shut things down.
Yeah. And the words that you'll hear are intelligent versus residual. The intelligent haunting is somebody or something that can interact back with you. And residual is the idea that this is loop in time or where that energy just replays over and over and over, kind of like a tape recorder. Mm-hmm. And so I think we may have had both in this space. I'm not exactly sure, and we'll talk about that far later.
Yeah.
This episode of the Home Pros Radio Show podcast is sponsored by HomeBinder. There is no better way to organize paint colors and home documents, get maintenance reminders, receive email alerts of appliance recalls, and share valuable information about your home with potential buyers. For a limited time, use promo code HOMEPROSRadio, all one word, to upgrade to our premium edition for the life of your ownership. Visit us online at homebinder.com or simply click on the link provided in the show description of this podcast. HomeBinder, a homeowner's best friend.
We return now to our paranormal investigation, which has led us to what may be an active presence in our home thanks to our audio cues and our EMF readings. As we continue, we learn the value of our pre-investigation research as our questioning leads us to what may be the surprise identity of our spiritual guest.
We're asking questions to who we thought might be the spirit in the house, which was Giles, who is a former musician. And we found it interesting that when we were asking about music, there was no response, thinking this would be something that he would want to respond to.
Yeah, it did completely stop whenever we talked about things specific to him.
So which led us in a different direction. We started in the recording studio downstairs, and then we moved upstairs into one of the upstairs bedrooms.
And it was a pink room. We should have sort of maybe noticed.
Yeah, and you were the first to notice, actually, as you go up the stairs, that it felt weird, and then you started picking up readings on the stairwell.
Yeah, the stairwell
upstairs.
So let's go ahead and bring it back up at this point. Thanks, Paul. Yeah. So here's Shane mentioning the Platters, and then everything stops.
Maybe the guy put the wrong thing on that Facebook post.
So we're trying to rationalize. Why?
You had a recording studio here. Do you still like music, or has something happened that has turned you off from music?
I'm a blumbering.
No, it's not a bad question.
I mean, when you brought up the Platters, and no more activity or minimal on this thing. I'm really, really interested to hear if there's anything there on that recorder.
Somebody said you were in the Temptations.
And that we have no proof of.
Yeah.
That was just someone. I think they got the Temptations and Platters mixed up. I have no idea.
Yeah. What if they got turned off to music altogether?
I mean,
So then this...
What bedroom was this?
You're asking what bedroom is this?
And this is while we were upstairs.
I saw the name Queen. Does that mean anything to you?
What we later found out was that Queen was Giles' mother, and she also had died in the house about 9 years before he did.
And we're thinking we might be in her room at this point. At the time we're asking, who is this person?
And there was no more furniture in the house, and one thing...
Is this Queen's bedroom?
...that we noticed was Shane started with the K2 meter across in front of the window where her bed would be, and about the height of a bed. And the meter...
That's where our readings were the highest.
Yeah, it pegged out. And as we went right over where the middle of the bed would be. And then he got to where the end of the bed would be, and it dropped off. Mm-hmm. And then he came back to the middle, and it picked up again, and then got to the other side where it would drop, and it dropped off again. Go high or low, and it would stop. But right where the bed top would be, where someone would lie, was the highest rating.
And if there's any kind of energy or anything like electricity or anything, it would be higher either up. The levels would be higher either at the ceiling, you know, from an overhead power line, or at the floor, you know, from
or even right
underneath.
on the wall.
Yeah. But it was really, I mean, it's like you could almost draw where the bed was by what the K2 was
by
doing.
the readings.
Yeah.
So that caused us to focus a little bit more on this area here.
Right after I asked if it was Queen's better. Queen, what did you do for a career?
And this is where I had not researched her, but she ended up doing my heart good, was a longtime educator in Greenville County and Sterling School, and then retired from Wade Hampton.
Giles, if you're here, who is Queen to you?
You can hear the crickets now. At this point, we're standing in a dark house.
With vines growing through the windows.
Talk to us. You can use your words, and we might be able to pick you up and see you talk to us through this screen here.
And that's
Is there anything you would
referencing
like to tell
Tommy's
us? Our time is limited here.
audio equipment.
Yeah.
The K2 meter is lighting, and we just missed something. The K2 meter keeps
Something's
going
happening
on
at this
in front of
point.
us. That's the multicolored light that you're seeing. Is there a reason? Are you close to it?
So we're trying to find some sort of audio cue.
Car passing. Those are like sharp, not slow build-ups.
And they're even hard to hear on the air.
Yeah. But you can see...
But if you listen carefully to the recording, I was hoping it would come across on the air, there were little taps.
Well, you could see them visually on your screen.
Yeah.
As you're watching the waves.
All right, I say we go back down.
This is where we went back down to the studio.
Yeah.
I think that's
But the interesting thing was there were like little taps that we would hear, and the microphone was completely still. Yeah, and
I didn't hear anything.
this is where you freaked out. You're like, "Whoa! Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Whoa!" And I was like, "I didn't hear anything." But then after going back, you could hear it. But that's what was neat about it is there's a real process of elimination, investigation. You actually went home after this and learned that maybe it wasn't Giles, maybe it's Queen.
That's right.
That might be in there just based on, and then that's how the process continues. So I don't know.
And thinking of it now, I mean, it was all in the pink bedroom upstairs, which in just me thinking that would be Queen's room.
We also found the plaque up there that had her name on it. And
from the Greenville, from the school system and whatnot. And I would assume that the room downstairs with all the stuff in it was Giles's room.
That's correct. That's what. Yeah.
So,
Stuff.
yeah, and if you think about it now, it would make a lot more sense for that to be Queen's room up
definitely.
there, and the staircase, because the staircase really had a lot of activity in it, and it gave you the heebie-jeebies just going up the staircase.
And and sometimes, and I don't get into the portal stuff and all that, but people talk about stairways. Definitely being a mode of transportation in places where you move from one place to another, definitely can spark some of that energy or hold some of that energy.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating stuff.
Quite an interesting journey as our investigation process attempts to explain the unexplained. So the next time you hear something that goes bump in the night, you'll be better equipped with a method to find some answers. Special thanks to Adam Burgess from Paranormal Investigation Team Greenville, who offered his expertise on this fascinating subject. And thanks to you for coming along on the adventure. Be sure to join us next time by subscribing to our podcast, and also feel free to like, comment, and share with family and friends. For my co-host Shane Hips with The Closing Contractor, I'm Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections. We'll catch you next time on the Home Pros Radio Show podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Home Pros Radio Show. If you have a question for the Home Pros, visit us online at homeprosradio.com, where you can contact us directly and also learn more about the topics and guests we bring to you each week. It's the Home Pros Radio Show online at homeprosradio.com or on the radio at 94.5 WGTK, The Answer.